Hello! Quick question. Would you like to speak English fluently? Would you help a friend if they asked? Would you travel the world if you had money? Do you know what that word would really means?
I hear it all the time, but I always get confused. Sometimes I say I would go, and sometimes I will go. What's the difference?
Today, we will teach you everything about would. It's one of the most important words in English, and once you understand it, you will sound like a native speaker.
If you stay with us for the next 25 minutes, you will master would completely. I promise.
My name is Maya.
And I'm Carlos. We teach English in a fun and easy way.
So, are you ready? Let's start right now.
Maya, I have a big problem. Last week, I was talking to my American friend, and he asked me, "What would you do if you won the lottery?" And I said, "I will buy a house." He looked at me strangely.
Oh, Carlos, that's a very common mistake. You should have said, I would buy a house, not I will buy a house.
I knew something was wrong, but why?
Don't worry. Today, we will learn everything about would. We will cover what would means and when to use it, how to make sentences with would, the difference between would, will, and could, how to use would in polite requests, how to talk about imaginary situations, and so much more.
And if you watch until the end, we have a special surprise for you.
Yes, a free downloadable practice guide with exercises. But before we start, we need to ask you something really important.
What is it, Maya?
If you're watching right now, we need your help. We're growing this channel to reach learners all over the world. When you subscribe, you're not just supporting us, you're joining a community of people who believe in improving together.
We want to make more videos, better videos, longer videos, all free for you.
Exactly. So please help us reach that goal. Subscribe to our channel right now. It takes just 2 seconds, but it means the world to us.
Yes, hit that subscribe button. Every subscriber tells us you want more lessons like this. And turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson.
Thank you so much. That means everything to us. Now let's learn about would.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Before we dive in, let's learn some important vocabulary. This will help you understand everything better. Repeat after me, okay?
Okay.
First word, would. This is a modal verb. It has many uses, and we'll learn all of them today. Repeat, would.
Would.
Good. Next word, wouldn't. This is the negative form. It's a contraction of would not. Repeat, wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
Perfect. Now let's learn some important phrases. First, I would like. This is a polite way to say you want something. Repeat, I would like.
I would like.
Excellent. We often shorten this to I'd like. Repeat, I'd like.
I'd like.
Beautiful. Now let's learn some action words we'll use today. First, travel. It means to go to different places. Repeat, travel.
Travel.
Second, buy. It means to purchase something with money. Repeat, buy.
Buy.
Third, help. It means to assist someone. Repeat, help. Help. Perfect. Now we're ready to learn our first use of a would.
I'm excited. Let's go.
Carlos, let me ask you a question. Do you know the main difference between will and would?
I think will is for the future.
Yes, will is for real future plans. Would is for imaginary or hypothetical situations. Let me explain with examples. Will, real future. Tomorrow I will go to the store. Would, imaginary. If I had money, I would go to Paris.
Oh, so would is for things that are not real or not certain?
Exactly. Would is for situations that are imaginary, hypothetical, or uncertain. It's like dreaming or imagining. Let me give you more examples. If I were rich, I would buy a big house. If I had time, I would learn piano. If she asked me, I would help her.
So these are all imaginary situations.
Yes. Notice the pattern. We use if with the past tense, then we use would. The structure is if plus subject plus past tense verb, comma, subject plus would plus base verb.
Wait, past tense, but we're talking about now or the future.
I know it seems strange. In English, when we talk about imaginary present or future situations, we use the past tense after if. This is called the second conditional. Let me show you more examples. If I lived in New York, I would visit museums every day. If he studied harder, he would pass the exam. If we had a car, we would drive to the beach.
This is confusing. Why do we use past tense?
Think of it this way. The past tense shows that the situation is not real right now. It's imaginary. It's like stepping back from reality.
Okay, I think I understand. Let me try. If I spoke perfect English, I would get a better job.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Everyone at home, make your own sentence. Use the pattern if I, past tense, I would.
This is starting to make sense.
Good. Now let's look at the structure more carefully. When we make sentences with would, the basic pattern is subject plus would plus base verb.
Base verb. That's the simple form, right? Like go, eat, sleep.
Exactly. Just like with can, the verb after would never changes. No s, no ing, no to. Let me show you examples with different subjects. I would go to the party. You would love this movie. He would help you. She would understand. We would buy that house. They would agree with us.
So the verb always stays the same. It doesn't matter if it's he, she, or they.
Correct. Modal verbs are modifiers, and modifiers don't change form. Very simple.
Let me try some examples. She would cook dinner. They would come tomorrow.
Perfect sentences. Now let's learn how to make negative sentences with would.
I think it's wouldn't, right?
Yes, the structure is subject plus would not plus base verb, or you can say subject plus wouldn't plus base verb.
So I can say either I would not go or I wouldn't go.
Exactly. Both are correct. In speaking, we almost always use wouldn't because it's faster and more natural. Let me give you examples. I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't like it. He wouldn't agree. She wouldn't come. We wouldn't buy it. They wouldn't understand.
So in conversation, I should say wouldn't.
Yes, it sounds more natural, but in formal writing, you might see would not written as two words.
Got it. Let me practice. I wouldn't eat that. They wouldn't help us.
Excellent. Now let's learn how to make questions with would.
Do I put would at the beginning, like with can?
Exactly right. The structure is would plus subject plus base verb, comma.
So simple.
Yes, let me show you examples. Would you help me? Would he come to the party? Would she like this gift? Would we need tickets? Would they understand?
And how do I answer these questions?
Great question. Short answers use would or wouldn't. Would you come? Yes, I would. No, I wouldn't. Would he help? Yes, he would. No, he wouldn't. Would they agree? Yes, they would. No, they wouldn't.
Just like with can.
Exactly. The pattern is the same. Now let's practice everything together. Everyone at home, say these sentences out loud with us. I would travel the world. She wouldn't forget you. Would you like some coffee? Beautiful. Now let's move to the second major use of would, making polite requests.
Oh, I think I've heard this before. Would you please?
Yes, would is one of the most polite ways to ask for something in English. It's much more polite than using can or will. Let me show you the difference. Can you help me? Okay, but direct. Will you help me? Okay, but a bit demanding. Would you help me? Very polite.
So would is the most polite?
Yes, native speakers use would when they want to be extra polite or formal. Here are common polite requests with would. Would you mind helping me? Would you please close the door? Would you be able to come tomorrow? Would it be possible to reschedule?
These sound very formal.
They do, but we use them all the time in professional situations, with strangers, or when we want to be extra respectful. Let me give you everyday examples. At a restaurant, would you like something to drink? At work, would you have time to review this document? To a neighbor, would you mind keeping the noise down?
I see. So I should use would at work or in formal situations?
Yes, it makes you sound professional and polite. Now, there's another very common polite phrase with would. I would like.
I hear this all the time.
Yes, I would like is the polite way to say I want. Compare I want coffee. Direct can sound rude. I would like coffee. Polite.
So I should always say I would like instead of I want?
In polite situations, yes, especially in restaurants, shops, or formal settings. Here are examples. I would like a table for 2, please. I would like to make an appointment. I would like some information about your products. We would like to order now.
And we can shorten I would like to I'd like.
Exactly. In speaking, we almost always say, I'd like. I'd like a coffee, please. I'd like to speak with the manager. I'd like some help with this.
That sounds so natural. Let me try. I'd like to learn more English. I'd like to travel to America.
Perfect. Those are great sentences. Everyone at home, practice saying, I'd like, and finish the sentence with something you want.
This is really useful.
Yes. Now let's look at another important use of would, talking about past habits.
Past habits. I thought would was for imaginary situations.
Would has many uses. When we talk about things we used to do regularly in the past, we can use would. This is similar to used to. Let me explain. When I was a child, I would visit my grandmother every summer. When I lived in Spain, I would eat tapas every day.
Oh, so would means something I did repeatedly in the past?
Exactly. It's for past habits or repeated actions. The structure is when, before, in the past, plus subject, plus would, plus base verb.
Can you give me more examples?
Of course, listen carefully. When I was young, I would play in the park every day. My father would tell me stories before bed. We would always celebrate birthdays together. In college, I would study late at night. She would call me every weekend.
So this is like saying used to?
Very similar. Compare these. I used to play basketball, past habit. I would play basketball every Saturday, past habit, but more specific.
What's the difference?
Used to is more general. Would is often used with a time phrase like every day, every summer, always, often. Also, we can't use would with state verbs like be, have, know. Correct, I used to be shy. Incorrect, I would be shy. Correct, I used to have a dog. Incorrect, I would have a dog.
Oh, so would is only for actions, not states.
Exactly right. When talking about past habits, use would for actions and used to for states or general habits. Let me practice. When I was a student, I would walk to school. I used to be nervous about exams.
I understand now. Let me try. When I lived in Brazil, I would go to the beach every weekend.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Everyone at home, think of something you did regularly in the past. Make a sentence with would.
This is getting clearer.
Great. Now let's talk about contractions because this is very important for sounding natural.
Contractions, you mean like I'd and wouldn't.
Yes, in spoken English, we almost always use contractions with would. Let me show you all the contractions. I would equals I'd. You would equals you'd. He would equals he'd. She would equals she'd. We would equals we'd. They would equals they'd.
So instead of saying I would go, I say I'd go.
Exactly. Listen to how natural these sound. I'd love to visit Japan. You'd really like this restaurant. He'd be perfect for that job. She'd understand if you explained. We'd appreciate your help. They'd be happy to come.
These sound much more natural.
Yes, now practice saying these with me. Repeat after me. I'd like some water.
I'd like some water.
You'd love this movie.
You'd love this movie.
He'd help you.
He'd help you.
Perfect. Now let's learn about would in if sentences more deeply.
I remember you mentioned this earlier, the second conditional.
Yes, This is one of the most important uses of would. When we imagine situations that are not real or not likely, we use this pattern. If plus past simple plus would plus base verb.
Can you explain this more?
Of course. Let's look at examples. If I had $1 million, I would buy a house. Reality, I don't have $1 million. This is imaginary. If she studied more, she would pass the exam. Reality, she doesn't study much. This is imaginary. If we lived closer, we would visit more often. Reality, we don't live close. This is imaginary.
So the if part uses past tense, but we're talking about now or the future.
Exactly. The past tense doesn't mean past time. It means the situation is unreal or imaginary.
That's so strange, but I think I get it.
Let me give you more examples to make it clear. If I were you, I would apologize. I'm not you, imaginary. If he had time, he would learn guitar. He doesn't have time, imaginary. If it rained tomorrow, I would stay home. We don't know if it will rain, uncertain.
Wait, you said if I were you. Why were and not was?
Excellent question. With if sentences about imaginary situations, we traditionally use were for all subjects. If I were rich, if he were here, if she were taller.
Even for I, he, and she?
Yes, this is traditional grammar. In casual speech, many people say if I was or if he was, but if I were is more correct and more formal.
Interesting. So in formal situations, I should say were.
Yes, especially in writing or professional speech. Now let me show you something important. We can reverse the order. If I had money, I would travel. I would travel if I had money.
Both are correct?
Yes, when the if clause comes second, we don't need a comma. This gives us flexibility in how we express ideas.
Let me try both ways. If I spoke French, I would move to Paris. I would move to Paris if I spoke French.
Perfect. Both sentences are completely correct. Now let's practice with a conversation.
I'm ready.
Okay, Carlos. Imagine you won $10,000. What would you do?
If I win $10,000, I would save half of it.
Smart. What would you do with the other half?
I would travel to Europe. I've always wanted to go there.
Where would you visit?
I would visit Italy, France, and Spain. What about you, Maya? What would you do if you won $10,000?
Great question. I would pay off my student loans first.
That's very responsible.
Thank you. Then, if I had money left, I would donate some to charity.
That's wonderful. Would you travel anywhere?
Maybe. If I had enough money, I would go to Japan. I've always wanted to see Tokyo.
Did you notice? We used would many times in that conversation. This is exactly how native speakers talk about imaginary situations.
Yes, now everyone at home answered this question. What would you do if you won $1 million? Say it out loud.
Great practice.
Now let's learn about would for giving advice.
Oh, like you should do this?
Similar. When we want to give advice politely, we often say, I would, or if I were you, I would.
Can you give examples?
Sure. Imagine your friend is sick. Direct, you should see a doctor. Okay, but a bit strong. Polite, I would see a doctor if I were you. Softer, more polite. Or simply, I would see a doctor, implying advice.
So using would makes advice sound softer.
Exactly. Compare these. You must study harder. Very direct, commanding. I would study harder if I were you. Gentle advice.
I like that. It sounds much nicer.
Yes. Here are more examples. If I were you, I would talk to him. I would check the contract carefully. If I were in your position, I would accept the offer. I would think about it before deciding.
So this is perfect for giving advice to friends without sounding bossy.
Exactly. It's very common in English. Let's practice. Carlos, imagine I have a job interview tomorrow. What advice would you give me?
If I were you, I would prepare some questions to ask.
Good advice. What else?
I would also research the company before the interview.
Excellent. Thank you for the advice.
You're welcome. See how natural that was?
Very natural. Now, everyone at home, imagine your friend wants to learn English faster. What advice would you give? Use I would or if I were you, I would.
Perfect practice.
Now let's talk about pronunciation because this is very important.
Yes, I want to sound like a native speaker.
Good. The word would has two pronunciations in natural speech. First, when we use contractions like I'd, you'd, he'd, the D sound is very short and quick. Listen, I'd go. You'd like it. He'd understand.
Very fast.
Yes. Now, when we say the full word would, we usually don't pronounce the L very strongly. It sounds like wood, like the material from trees.
Really? Not wold?
In careful speech, yes, we might pronounce the L, but in normal conversation, it often sounds like would. Listen, I would go. She would help.
That's so different.
Yes, and wouldn't is pronounced wouldn't. The L is very soft or silent. Listen, I wouldn't do that. They wouldn't come.
Let me try. I would like some coffee.
Good, but remember, in natural speech, you'd say, I'd like some coffee, much faster.
I'd like some coffee.
Perfect. Now let's practice pronunciation together. Everyone, repeat after me. I'd love to go.
I'd love to go.
You'd really enjoy it.
You'd really enjoy it.
She wouldn't mind.
She wouldn't mind.
We'd be happy to help.
We'd be happy to help.
They wouldn't understand.
They wouldn't understand. I feel like I'm getting better.
You are. Now let's learn some very common phrases with would that native speakers use every day.
I love learning natural phrases.
Good. First phrase, would you mind? This is a very polite way to ask someone to do something. Repeat, would you mind?
Would you mind?
Examples, would you mind opening the window? Would you mind waiting a moment? Would you mind helping me?
How do I answer this?
Good question. This is tricky. If you're happy to do it, you say, no, I don't mind, or not at all, or of course not.
Wait, I say no if I will do it?
Yes, because you're answering the question, do you mind? If you don't mind, you say no. It's confusing for learners.
Very confusing.
Let me show you. Question, would you mind closing the door? Happy to help. No, not at all. Then close the door. Don't want to help. Actually, I'm busy right now.
Okay, I think I understand. The no means I don't mind doing it.
Exactly. Now, next phrase, I would appreciate. This is a formal way to ask for something or thank someone. Repeat, I would appreciate.
I would appreciate.
Examples, I would appreciate your help. I would appreciate it if you could send the report. We would appreciate your feedback.
This sounds very formal and polite.
Yes, it's perfect for work emails or formal requests. Next phrase, would you like? This is how we offer something politely. Repeat, would you like?
Would you like?
Examples, would you like some coffee? Would you like to join us? Would you like me to help you?
I hear this in restaurants all the time.
Exactly. Would you like something to drink is very common. How do you answer?
I say yes, please, or no, thank you.
Perfect. Now another phrase, I'd rather. This means you prefer something. Repeat, I'd rather.
I'd rather.
Examples, I'd rather stay home. I'd rather not talk about it. I'd rather have tea than coffee.
So this is for showing preference.
Yes, I'd rather is very common. Notice we can say I'd rather not for polite refusals.
Like, I'd rather not go to the party.
Exactly. It's more polite than saying I don't want to go. One more phrase, that would be great. This is a positive response. Repeat, that would be great.
That would be great.
Examples, can I help you? That would be great. Should we meet at 5? That would be perfect. I'll send you the document. That would be wonderful.
These phrases are so useful.
Yes, use them every day and you'll sound very natural. Now let's practice everything with a full conversation.
I'm ready.
Okay, Carlos, let's imagine we're planning a trip together. I'll start. Carlos, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
That's a great question. If I could go anywhere, I would visit Japan.
Japan. That's wonderful. Why would you choose Japan?
Well, I'd love to see the temples and try authentic sushi. What about you? Where would you go?
If I could travel anywhere, I would go to New Zealand. The nature there is incredible.
That sounds amazing. What would you do there?
I would go hiking and see the mountains. I would also visit the beaches. Would you like to come with me?
I'd love to, but I wouldn't be a good hiking partner. I'm not very fit.
That's okay. We could take it slow. Hey, if we went together, would you mind planning the activities?
Not at all. I'd be happy to plan. But you would need to book the flights because I'm terrible at finding good deals.
Deal. I'd appreciate that. So, if we really did this trip, when would you want to go?
I'd rather go in spring. The weather would be perfect.
That would be great. I wouldn't want to go in winter anyway. Too cold.
Exactly. Oh, one question. Would you be willing to share a hotel room to save money?
Sure, I wouldn't mind at all. That would cut our costs in half.
Perfect. This is getting exciting. We should really do this.
We should. I'd love that.
Okay, did everyone catch all the uses of wood in that conversation? Let's review what we just did.
Yes. First, we used would for imaginary situations. Where would you go? And I would visit Japan.
Then we used I'd love to. That's a common phrase showing strong interest.
Right. We also used would you mind, a polite question. Would you mind planning the activities?
And the answer was not at all, meaning I don't mind. I'm happy to do it.
We used I'd appreciate, a formal thank you. And we used I'd rather for preferences. I'd rather go in spring.
We also used wouldn't for negative. I wouldn't want to go in winter.
Perfect summary. Now, everyone at home, here's a question for you. If you could have dinner with anyone in the world, who would it be and why? Say your answer out loud using would.
Great practice.
Now let's talk about common mistakes. Carlos, what mistakes did you used to make with would?
Oh, so many. I used to say I would to go, adding to after would.
Yes, that's mistake number 1. Never add to after would. The verb must be in base form. Wrong, I would to go. Right, I would go.
What's mistake number 2?
Mistake number 2 is using would in the if clause. Listen. Wrong. If I would have money, I would travel. Right. If I had money, I would travel.
Oh, so would only goes in the main clause, not the if clause.
Exactly. The if clause uses past tense and would goes in the result clause. This is a very common mistake.
What's mistake number 3?
Mistake number 3 is confusing would and will. Remember, will equals definite future. Would equals imaginary or hypothetical. Wrong. If I have money, I would travel. Mixing real and imaginary. Right. If I have money, I will travel. First conditional, real. Right. If I had money, I would travel. Second conditional, imaginary.
So I need to be consistent, either all real or all imaginary.
Exactly. Mistake number 4 is using the wrong verb form after would. Wrong. I would going to the store. Wrong. I would goes to the store. Right. I would go to the store.
Always base form.
Yes. And mistake number 5, forgetting contractions in speech. Sounds unnatural, I would like some coffee. Sounds natural, I'd like some coffee.
So in conversation, always use contractions?
Almost always. It makes you sound more natural and fluent. Let's review all 5 mistakes. Mistake 1, adding to after would. Mistake 2, using would in the if clause. Mistake 3, confusing would and will. Mistake 4, wrong verb form after would. Mistake 5, not using contractions in speech.
Everyone write these down. If you avoid these mistakes, you'll use wood perfectly.
Absolutely. Now let's do a quick quiz to test your knowledge.
Quiz time. Everyone at home, get ready.
Question 1. Which sentence is correct? A. If I would be rich, I would travel. B. If I was rich, I would travel. C. If I am rich, I would travel.
Think carefully. The answer is B. If I was rich, I would travel. Even better would be, if I were rich, I would travel.
Correct. Question 2. How do you ask politely for coffee? A. I want coffee. B. I would like coffee. C. I will like coffee.
The answer is B. I would like coffee. Or even better, I'd like coffee, please.
Perfect. Question 3. What's the contraction of I would? A. I'll. B. I've. C. I'd.
The answer is C. I'd is the contraction of I would.
Great! Question 4. Which is correct? A. Would you mind to help me? B. Would you mind helping me? C. Would you mind help me?
The answer is B. Would you mind helping me? After mind, we use the ing form.
Excellent! Question 5. How do you respond to would you mind closing the window? A. Yes, I will close it. B. No, not at all, then close it. C. Yes, I don't mind.
This is the tricky one. The answer is B. No, not at all. Means you don't mind and you're happy to do it.
Perfect! How did everyone do? If you got all 5 correct, you're doing amazing.
And if you made mistakes, that's totally fine. That's how we learn.
Now let's practice with shadowing. This is where you speak along with us.
Remember, shadowing helps you improve pronunciation and fluency.
Let's start slow. Listen and repeat. I would like some help.
I would like some help.
She wouldn't agree with that.
She wouldn't agree with that.
Would you mind waiting?
Would you mind waiting?
If I were you, I'd apologize.
If I were you, I'd apologize.
Good. Now let's go faster. I'd love to travel to Italy.
I'd love to travel to Italy.
He wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that.
Would you like to come?
Would you like to come?
If I had time, I'd learn guitar.
If I had time, I'd learn guitar.
Excellent work. Now even faster. That would be perfect.
That would be perfect.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Would you be willing to help?
Would you be willing to help?
I'd rather stay home tonight.
I'd rather stay home tonight. You're all doing great. Keep practicing this every day.
Yes, shadowing is one of the best ways to improve your speaking skills.
Now let's have one final conversation. This time, try to speak along with us if you can.
Great idea. Ready, Carlos?
Ready. So, Maya, I have a question for you. If you could change one thing about your life, what would it be?
That's a deep question. If I could change one thing, I would probably spend more time with my family. I've been so busy lately. What about you?
I would learn to play piano. I've always wanted to, but I never have time.
You should do it. If you practiced just 30 minutes a day, you'd improve quickly.
You're right. I would need to find a good teacher, though.
I could help you with that. My cousin teaches piano. Would you like me to ask her?
Really? That would be amazing. I'd appreciate that so much.
No problem. She's a great teacher. You'd really like her.
Perfect. Hey, speaking of hobbies, would you like to join my book club?
A book club? That sounds interesting. What kind of books do you read?
We read everything. Fiction, nonfiction, classics. Right now we're reading a mystery novel. You'd love it.
I'd like to join. When do you meet?
We meet every Thursday evening. Would that work for you?
Thursdays are a bit difficult. Would it be possible to meet on Fridays instead?
I don't think so, but you wouldn't have to come every week. You could join when you're free.
That would work. Yes, I'd love to be part of it.
Wonderful. I'll send you the details. Oh, and would you mind bringing snacks to the next meeting?
Not at all. What kind of snacks would people like?
Anything. Cookies, chips, fruit, whatever you'd like to bring.
Okay, I'd be happy to bring something. This is exciting.
I know. I think you'd fit in perfectly with our group.
Great conversation. We used wood so many times in natural ways.
Yes. Did you notice all the different uses?
Imaginary situations, polite requests, preferences, offers?
Exactly. This is how native speakers really talk. Now let's review everything we learned today.
Yes, let's make sure everyone remembers the key points.
First, what's the basic structure for would?
Subject plus would plus base verb. Example, I would go.
Perfect. And for negative?
Subject plus wouldn't plus base verb. Example, I wouldn't go.
Great. And for questions?
Would plus subject plus base verb. Example, would you go?
Excellent. Now, what are the main uses of would?
Let me think. First, for imaginary situations with if.
Yes, if I had money, I would travel. What else?
For polite requests. Would you help me? And for being polite when we want something. I'd like some coffee.
Perfect. What else?
For past habits. When I was young, I would visit my grandmother every summer.
Great. And one more?
For giving advice politely. If I were you, I would study more.
Excellent memory. Now, what's very important about pronunciation?
We should use contractions in speech. Say I'd, you'd, he'd instead of I would, you would, he would.
Exactly. And what about the if clause in second conditional?
We use past tense in the if clause, but we're talking about now or the future, and we never put would in the if clause.
Perfect. You remembered everything. Now let's practice some key phrases one more time. Everyone say these with us. I'd like to order, please. If I were you, I'd talk to him. Would you mind helping me? I wouldn't worry about it. That would be great.
Repeat these phrases every day until they become automatic.
Yes, practice makes perfect. Now, before we finish, we have homework for you.
Fun homework.
Here's what we want you to do. Assignment 1. Write 5 sentences about imaginary situations using if I would. For example, if I were rich, I would buy a house. If I could fly, I would travel the world. Write your sentences in the comments. We will read them.
Assignment 2. Practice polite requests. Write 3 questions using would you or would you mind. For example, would you help me with this? Would you mind opening the door?
Assignment 3. Think about your past. Write 3 sentences about things you used to do regularly using would. For example, when I was a child, I would play outside every day.
Post all your sentences in the comments. We will give you feedback.
This practice will help you master would completely.
And remember, making mistakes is part of learning.
Absolutely. Everyone makes mistakes at first. That's normal.
I remember when I first started learning would, I made so many mistakes.
But look at you now. You use it perfectly.
It's because I practiced every single day.
That's the secret. Consistent practice. Even just 10 minutes a day makes a huge difference.
So don't give up. You can do this.
We believe in you. You can master would. You can speak English fluently. You can achieve your dreams.
Now, before we say goodbye, we have some important announcements.
Yes. First, if you enjoyed this lesson, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps us.
And subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We post new English lessons every week.
Next week, we're teaching about the difference between could, would, and should. You don't want to miss it.
Also, turn on notifications so you know when we upload new videos.
And please share this video with your friends who are learning English. Learning together is more fun.
Yes, the more people we can help, the better.
One more thing. Write a comment. Tell us, what was the most useful thing you learned today? Do you have any questions about would? What topic should we teach next?
We read every comment and we reply to as many as we can.
This is a community. We're all learning together.
Thank you so much for watching and learning with us today.
You are amazing. Keep studying, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself.
Remember, if you practice every day, you would become fluent faster than you think.
Wait, Carlos, did you hear what you just said?
What?
You said if you practice every day, you would become fluent, but that's wrong.
Oh no, what should I say?
It should be, if you practice every day, you will become fluent. Because that's a real possibility, not imaginary.
You're right. See, even I still make mistakes sometimes.
That's okay. It shows that learning never stops.
True. Okay, let me say it correctly. If you practice every day, you will become fluent.
Perfect. And that's true. Consistent practice will make you fluent.
So everyone, keep practicing.
And we'll see you in the next lesson.
Until then, keep studying and keep smiling.
Goodbye.
See you soon.